to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome sis. My name is Yap, and as you guys can see by that title, in today's video I'll be showing you guys my updated everyday makeup routine slash my go-to slash my natural makeup routine. Honestly, this look fits any occasion, whether you want to wear it every day, whether you want to just have a nice makeup look to go out with, or if you even go into like a party or something like that, or a wedding. This makeup look could fit any occasion, that's why it's my go-to. So yeah, I'll be showing you guys how I got this look right here, and in addition to this look, I'll be showing you guys how I got this bomb hair as well. And with that being said, this video is sponsored by CURLYMEHAIR. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring today's video. They sent me over this really nice wig unit, and all the information will be down in the description box below on it, so if you're interested, check that out. So yeah, I'll just be showing you guys how I got this hair and this makeup look. But before we hop into it, you already know the vibes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Follow me on Instagram at YapMUA, and on Snapchat at YapYap16. I also made a P.O. box, so if you, it's not really a P.O. box, it's not through the post office, but I made a mailing address, and you can send me stuff through FedEx, USPS, UPS, whatever mailing service you want. You can send me stuff through there. You can send it to me all the time because it's open 7 days a week. So yeah, you guys can check the description box for that as well. But you know, enough of the rambling, we're gonna hop right into this tutorial. Period.
Once again, shout out to CURLYMEHAIR for sending me this bomb unit. They also sent me some goodies, which was lashes and that wig cap. And this is the hair fresh out the box. The hair did come pre-plucked, and it came with all the highlights and stuff already. The hair really looks fine. Honestly, you can install it just like this, but me personally, I want to like customize it to my liking. So I bleached the knots, and I also plucked it myself. This hair is 180 density, and I believe it was 26 inches, but the full details will be down in the description box below, so you guys could check that out as well. So now we're gonna move on to installing the hair. So I already did the bald cap method, and I put my contour shade on the lace. Some people say put your foundation shade, but I like to use my contour shade because sometimes when I use my foundation shade or my concealer shade or whatever, it still appears too light. But when I use the shade I use to contour, it comes out like perfectly, especially when I'm working with hair that's way lighter than me. So that's just what I find to be helpful. And now I'm going to apply the glue. So I'm using the Bold Hold Active Glue, and I'm using a lipstick applicator to spread thin, even layers. I also apply the wig glue in sections because I find that if you apply it from ear to ear in like one take, it will dry up too fast and it just won't last as long. I'm also doing about 5 layers because I wanted the install to last me a little minute because it's been very hot in New York City lately. Just to help the glue dry up pretty quick, I'm using this little mini fan that I will leave a link in my description box too. And after I let it dry and get a little bit tacky, I don't let it dry completely, but I let it dry to get a little clear, but to the point where it's still very tacky. So now I'm pulling the lace a little bit in front of the glue, just so that after I cut it off, there's no glue peeking through. And I'm just going to make sure I take my time. The video is sped up a little bit just so that we're not here all day, but I was very careful with the placement of the wig because once that wig is in the glue, baby, it is not moving. It's not going anywhere. So I made sure to take my time and place it carefully. And then after I place it down and like squish it into the glue with my fingers, I like to go in with a comb and really make sure that that wig and that glue is melting together. There's a couple methods to applying your wig, but this is the method that I like to use because I just find that when you glue the wig down first and then cut the lace off, you get the perfect like customization to your frontal. Like, you don't cut off too much or too little, you cut off the perfect amount. Whereas if you cut it off first and then glue it down, you might accidentally cut off too much, and once you cut it off, there's no turning back. So that's just something that I like to do. And then sometimes I like to part the wig and just go in with my comb to make sure that the wig is really melted into the glue, because I put like 1-inch layers of like glue on my head, so I just wanted to make sure it was really in there. So now we're cutting off that lace, at least the parts that we glued down first. We're not going to cut off the whole thing, just the parts that's glued down. So I'm using an eyebrow razor because it gives me a more realistic cut. you know, when you cut off the lace, you kind of want to cut it off in like a raggedy type of motion. And this eyebrow razor helps me to do that just because it looks more natural. Because if you use a scissor, it will be a very straight, clean cut. And no one's hairline is that straight and clean cut. So you want to use an eyebrow razor so that it's more realistic. And I'm just being very careful once again because I don't want to cut off too much on accident. And it's just best to take your time. When you take your time with things, it just comes out better. And when doing hair, that's something you need to take your time with. Like, you cannot rush it or else it will look rushed, and we don't want that. I also want to mention that just like makeup, you have to trust the process with hair, because right now it's not looking the best, but don't worry, it's because it's all puffy and brushed out. But as y'all saw in the beginning, it was real cute. So just trust the process when you're doing your hair. So after I cut off the lace from the glued down parts, I'm going to go back in with my comb and just press it down again. And I'm pulling it just to show y'all that once that glue and that wig is melted together, the wig is not going anywhere, okay? It's really securely put on. So after I did that, I just continued to do the remainder of my head because at this point, you guys get the gist. Just glue it down in sections and then, you know, cut the lace off, do what you got to do, boom, bam, bam. But I like to do the sides last because the sides, to me, always slip up the fastest. So that's why, like I said, I do it in sections instead of just from head. I mean, not head to head, ear to ear, because I don't want it to dry up too fast and then it won't stick. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it before. I think I did, but I use kind of thick layers. Like, I make sure the layers are thinly spread, but they're like 1 inch thick, if that makes any sense. Because if you apply like a very thin layer of glue in the sense of like its width, then it's not going to last long. You need to make it at least like 1 inch or a little longer, but I think 1 inch is good. And I'm using my fan again just to make sure that the process goes by a little faster, because sometimes it could take a little long to do a frontal. Okay. And then after I pushed it in with my comb, I made sure it was nice and secure. I'm now going to cut off that lace with the razor again. If you are a hairstylist or you're just someone who knows a lot about like frontals and stuff, and you have any tips and tricks for me, please leave it down in the comment section below, because I am not a hairstylist. I am a makeup artist, and I am a good makeup artist. I'm not the best hairstylist, so the sides always give me trouble, you know, cutting off the lace on the side. So if you guys have any tips and tricks on the whole frontal process period, please leave it down in the description box, not the description box, the comment section below. I'm all over my words today, but anywho, after I cut off the sides, I'm gonna go in with my comb once again and make sure that I press that hair into the glue, okay? And now I'm going to take out some of the baby hairs, and I'm gonna form that later, but I'm just like molding them, like taking out the ones that I want, because I'm gonna go in with some hairspray and further secure the lace. But we need to get the baby hairs out the way to do that. So I'm just taking out the parts that I want the baby hairs to be. And just for the sake of this video, I may not show me doing like both sides of my head or even both sides of my face later on, because, you know, I just want to save time. But I did take out both sides, like by my ear, like the ear tabs, but I may not show both sides. So I just wanted to like throw that warning in there. But yeah, y'all are just watching me take out the baby hair parts, because I'm going to prep the rest of the hair for like styling and to further secure the lace with some hairspray and things like that. So what I'm doing now is taking a wax stick. You could use mousse, but I'm going to use a wax stick. And this is just to like get the hair out my face. But I'm also prepping my hair for the styling, because I'm going to do like 2 braids in the front. And I need the hair to be kind of like pushed back in the front. So I'm using some wax stick, and that's the She Is Bomb wax stick. And then I'm going to use a hot comb to really press that down and press it back out my face. So to further secure the lace, I'm going to spray it with some Got2b glue hairspray, and I'm just spraying it on the sections like behind the baby hair partings. And I also like to take a brush and just brush some of that hairspray back just to help keep the hair back for like styling. Basically putting a little bit of hairspray not only on the lace, but on the parts of the wig that I also put the wax stick, just so that it helps with styling later on. And it gives a very sleek and like clean look, because I feel like frontals look really good when it's very, very clean and neat work. So just using hairspray helps to achieve that look. If you guys are wondering, when I use the blow dryer, it's on the cold setting, but it's also on high power. So it's blowing hard, cold air. So I'm just going to run the hot comb through my hair one more time before I add the 2 braids in the front, just to make sure that everything is really sleek and clean. And I decided to do the 2 braids off camera because that process was a little lengthy. It wasn't hard at all. My mom actually helped me. That's why she's chilling in the back. We was watching a movie while she helped me do those 2 braids. And it wasn't hard, like I said. It was just a little bit of a lengthy process. But I just did a middle part, and then I just added 2 braids. Well, my mother added 2 braids in the front. So after I did that, I am styling the baby hairs, and I'm just using a razor to cut it. And now I'm going to use a flat iron and curl the baby hairs, just because I wanted to try that like fluffy baby hair trend. And basically you just use a mini flat iron and curl your baby hairs, and then you just go to styling it, and it comes out super fluffy and cute. But mine didn't come out as fluffy, but it did help me to style the baby hairs. And I used a little bit of edge control, and I started out using a toothbrush, but then I switched to like the little comb on the baby hair brush, because I just find that combs form the baby hairs way better. And I also ended up cutting a little bit of the baby hairs off because they were a little bit too long. Yeah, like I said, I am not a makeup artist. Not a makeup artist. I am not a hairstylist. I am a makeup artist. And so I am just like the rest of y'all, just learning. But hair honestly isn't that hard to do. It just takes a long time, honestly. But it's better than paying somebody $300 to do a frontal that's only gonna last like 4 days in this heat anyways. So practice makes perfect, okay? And getting ready is really, really fun. But anywho, I'm just forming these baby hairs, and yeah, hoping and praying for the best, because these things were definitely a whole lot of, but it ended up coming out really cute. So after I did the baby hairs, I went in with an elastic band, and I'm just tying down my hair, because this is really the key to like a really, really good melt. You have to tie down your hair so that everything just melts together and becomes one. It just looks really, really good. So while my hair was melting together, I used water and this curl defining glaze and a little bit of this curling mousse to get these really, really nice curls. Well, bring out the really, really nice curls in this curly hair. And once again, all the details on this hair will be down in the description box below. And now we're gonna move on to the makeup portion. So I did my brows off camera, and if you guys want a very in-depth tutorial on how I achieve these brows, there is a tutorial on my channel, so you guys could check that out. But the second thing I do is apply a very small amount in a thin layer of this brown pigment from Danessa Myricks, and I apply that on my eye with a concealer brush, just using some tapping motions, and then I blend that out with a fluffy brush, and this is the Morphe M505 brush. Now all the brushes I use will be on the screen, and all the products I use will be down in the description box below, listed in order. So after I blend that out a little bit, sometimes I like to use a concealer brush with a little bit of product on it to help me blend out the edges of the pigment, because it just gives me a more seamless blend when I'm having a little bit of trouble. So that's just a little tip and trick that you could use if you struggle with blending out eyeshadow sometimes. And after I blend out the pigment, I like to set it with a little bit of eyeshadow, and I used a chocolatey brown one, and I also used a dark brown one, just to give me like a very rich brown eyeshadow look. So now I'm taking some translucent powder and just further blending out the edges of the eyeshadow look, because that helps me too. And also the concealer underneath my brows was a little bit wet, so I needed to set it in order to prevent it from like moving around on my eye, because we do not want that. So now I am adding a wing liner, and I'm using the Sephora collection waterproof liquid liner because it's just a very rich black and it's waterproof, which we love because we don't want the eyeliner to like fade away throughout the day and move around. So I definitely recommend you guys getting this. So the key to a perfect liner is like having a steady hand. So whether you're sitting on a desk or you're standing up doing somebody else's face, I recommend leaning your hand on your face, your client's face, or resting your arm on your desk if you're like sitting down doing your liner, because it'll just give you a very, very steady hand. So that's a little tip or trick that you could use if you struggle with liner. And what I'm doing now is applying a little bit of concealer to my brow bone just to give it a nice glow and pop. And it just makes the eyeshadow look even better. Like it takes it up a notch, even though you barely did anything just now. And what I'm doing right now is I'm applying lash glue to my lash line, because I like to apply it to the lash line and to the lashes that I'm going to wear for a very secure and strong hold. I also concealed up that wing just a little bit just to make sure that it's really, really, really sharp. And now I'm going to be applying some false lashes that there will be a link in the description box for. And if you have struggled applying false lashes, I have an in-depth tutorial on my channel. It's a little old, but it is still a good tutorial, so you could check that out if you want to. And now I'm applying some mascara to blend in my real lashes with the false ones, and then we're gonna move on to the face. So me, I have very oily skin, so what I do to prep my skin is first I moisturize it, because it will help my skin produce less oils if my face is moisturized. So I use the NYX HydratTouch oil primer, which is a very good moisturizing primer, and it gives me a very smooth base. And now I'm taking a mattifying primer and putting it in the places that I get oily only, which is really like my nose and a little bit on my forehead and a little bit on my chin. And I'm just going to blend that in with my fingers. And then I'm going to set those same areas with some translucent powder, and I'm going to use the RCMA no color face powder, which is a really, really good translucent powder. It really leaves no color at all, no matter what type of skin you have, whether that's dark, light, caramel. It's just a really, really good powder. So the purpose of using translucent powder and setting those oily places on your face is just to give your makeup longevity, and it really keeps the oils down. Like it combats the oils so that your makeup won't move throughout the day, which creates longevity for your makeup. So if you have oily skin, I definitely recommend doing that. And for the rest of my face, I like to use a smoothing primer. So this is the NYX Angel Veil primer, and it just gives me a nice smooth base for the rest of my makeup. If you don't have the Angel Veil primer or the Rimmel Stay Matte primer, I definitely recommend using the Milk Hydro Grip primer, because that primer is amazing. It's definitely one of my go-tos. But lately I've been using the Angel Veil and I've been loving it. So these are just a few products that I recommend to you guys. And now for foundation, I take a little bit of my foundation and I just pick up a lipstick applicator and I use that to apply my foundation. But I only apply it in the places that I feel need coverage. Like I don't like to apply a layer all over my face and blend it out. I just like to apply it in the spots that I feel like need foundation, and then naturally when I blend it out, it'll blend out all over my face. So this gives me the full coverage look, but it doesn't feel heavy and cakey. And I also use a lipstick applicator to apply it as opposed to like a brush or something, because a lipstick applicator spreads a nice even coat of foundation, but it also picks up a very little amount because it's so tiny. So it just helps me to get a nice lightweight but full coverage bead. And I'm just blending this out in tapping motions and partially swiping motions, and I'm using the Real Techniques Instapop cheek brush to do that. So an important thing to mention is after you prime your face and you set it with the powder in order to control your oils, make sure to wipe that powder away. Do not leave it on just sitting there, or don't put foundation right on top of it. Wipe it away or else your makeup will be cakey. It's not meant to like sit there and put foundation over it. Like you gotta wipe it away because your makeup will be very cakey if you just leave it there. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And I also wanted to mention that, you know, sometimes people be like, oh, don't use swiping motions to blend out your foundation because it will be streaky, which I kind of agree with. So I use tapping and swiping motions because it honestly just gets the job done for me personally. Makeup has no rules, so as long as your makeup comes out great, that's all that matters. So do what makes you comfortable. But this is just what I do that makes me comfortable. And just in case there's any newbies or people who are just getting into makeup, I just wanted to mention that when you're doing your foundation, blend it down your neck so that it matches your body and your chest and stuff. You don't want to look like you have a mask on, so make sure to blend that foundation down your neck. It may be obvious to some, like, oh duh, you're supposed to do that, but if you're new to makeup, you may not know that, so I just wanted to throw that in there. And now we're gonna move on to highlighting. So I have a very in-depth highlighting and contouring tutorial on my channel as well. Honestly, my channel is full of very in-depth makeup tutorials. Like, you can learn so much for free on this channel, so take advantage and go watch and binge watch my videos, okay, period. But anyways, now I'm doing highlighting. So I'm actually going to use 3 different concealers, but throughout this whole entire makeup process, I'm using very thin layers of makeup. So it may sound like a lot, but it's honestly a little bit, a very, very small amount. And I'm using a concealer brush to apply the concealer the same way why I use a lipstick applicator to apply the foundation, to give me a very light application but very full coverage. So I'm just tapping that product on. So the first concealer I used was about 3 shades lighter than me, and that was just to add a little bit of a highlight. The second concealer that I'm using has more of like a yellowy golden undertone, and I love the way it makes my skin look. It's also a little more full coverage, so I applied that right on top of the first one. And this third one is like 5 to 6 shades lighter than me, but I'm only using it on my inner eye corners because I wanted kind of like that really cute bright under eye look. So instead of immediately blending out my highlight, I go into contouring and I let the concealer sit, because I feel like it gives me a more full coverage look when I let it get a little tacky, and then I blend it out. So while that's sitting, I'm going to blend out my contour, and I'm using the concealer from Makeup Revolution in the shade C18, and I'm just going to apply some contour to my cheeks and blend that out with the same brush that I use to blend out my foundation, because I feel like when you use the same brushes within the same makeup application, the products blend in better. Like, everything just meshes in more seamlessly and beautiful. So I like to do that. And also, I want to mention that I don't really contour my forehead when I do frontals, because I just feel like even though I use my contour shade on my lace, sometimes it could still make my frontal look light because my forehead is dark, so the contrast is going to be very, very visible, and I don't want that in like my pictures and stuff. So I just avoid contouring on my forehead, and I honestly didn't need it. Like, I kind of like the way my face looked when I just contoured my cheeks alone. So now I'm applying some cream blush, which is something I also started doing recently, but I'm applying a very, very small amount because I didn't want my cheeks to be too red. And I love using cream blush now. Like, it's such a pretty trend, and it just makes everything look better. Like, even though it's not too different from like powder blush, it just adds the perfect subtle touch. So I just put a little bit of that on my cheeks over my contour, and now I'm going to blend out my highlight using a beauty blender. So as you guys can notice, I'm going back and forth between the beauty blender and the brush that I use to blend out the contour, just to make sure that there's no harsh lines on my face and you can't tell where the highlight starts and where the contour stops, or vice versa. So I'm going back in with the contour, well, where's the brush that I use to blend out the contour, and focusing on blending out the edges of the highlight and making sure that they just mesh together and look like one. So when I'm blending out my highlight and my contour and adding my cream blush, I like to blend going up towards like my temple, because it gives my face a very snatched and lifted look. So that's just something that I wanted to mention. And I also wanted to mention that I know you guys see that concealer is a little light, but that's the exact look I was going for. And don't be intimidated to use very light colors on your face. As long as you blend it out, you'll be perfectly fine. And it's just makeup at the end of the day. Makeup could always be fixed. So if there's something wrong with the concealer, you feel like it's too light, you could always go over it with a foundation or something. So don't be afraid to try new things. Makeup is all about trying new things. So after I blend out that highlight, I like to take a little bit of that concealer on the beauty blender and just run that underneath my contour to just do a little reverse contouring and sharpen it up. And now I'm going to set the highlighted areas of my face using the Sasha Cosmetics Buttercup setting powder, and it's this really nice yellow tone setting powder. It gives my skin this very golden look, so that's why I like to use a setting powder with a kind of like yellowish tone. And I'm using the Real Techniques setting brush to apply that. So this is a very thin layer of setting powder that I'm using because I am going to bake, which is what you guys are seeing right now. And I'm using a makeup sponge, a disposable latex-free makeup sponge, because the one with latex don't pick up product very well. I like cotton makeup applicator sponges, but I'm just baking my face right now. I love the way baking looks. A lot of people don't like it because they feel like it gives them flashback, but I just don't use a lot of powder. It just sets the face very well, especially because I have oily skin. And now I'm using a darker setting powder. This is the Ben Nye setting powder in chestnut, and I'm only putting that underneath my cheeks because I didn't want that part of my face to be as light as the highlighted parts of my face. And now I'm taking the RCMA no color setting powder and setting the remaining areas of my face, which is really the contoured parts, because I didn't want that to be patchy later on when I apply like bronzer and stuff. So I just make sure that that is set. So now I'm gonna dust away the powder that's in the highlighted areas of my face, and while I'm dusting that away, I'm also dipping into another powder, but this powder is this micro smooth pressed foundation powder that I got from Sephora, and it just gives me this beautiful smooth finish. Now I know it sounds like I may be using a lot of products, but once again I'm using very small amounts. Like, I'm layering the product on, but the layers are so thin that it doesn't even look like a lot of makeup, and it doesn't look cakey either. So that's just something that I like to do, and I've been doing it recently, and it just gives everything a beautiful finish. So now I'm going to contour my nose, and I like to powder contour my nose instead of cream contour because sometimes cream contours could be a little too harsh. I feel like powder contouring gives me more control. So I'm using a very small fluffy brush, and this is the Morphe M506 brush, and I'm just contouring my nose. And I love to blend the contour into the beginning of my eyebrow. I just feel like it frames my face so beautifully, and it just gives me this very like snatched nose bridge. Like, it just looks so bomb. So I contour that, and then I take some setting powder on that same makeup sponge that we used to bake with, and I just put it on the outside of the contour just to sharpen it up a little bit. And now I'm going to dust away the powder that we used to reverse contour underneath the contour that we put on our cheeks to brighten it up a little bit so that it looked very sharp. So the same powder that I used to contour my nose is the same powder that I'm using to go over the contour that I put on my face, which is just from the Juvias Place bronzer palette, and it's in the shades Deep Dark, I believe. And I'm just using the e.l.f. face brush and using very light tapping motions to slightly add some more color and bronze to my face. I'm going to dust away that setting powder that we put on our nose to sharpen up that contour, and that contour is looking real sharp and snatched, okay? And now I'm going to apply a little bit of blush to my cheeks and to my nose because I just feel like it gives this very nice, warm, innocent kind of look. So I'm just tapping that on my face, and this is the Juvias Place Volume 1 blush palette. It's like a red blush, and I'm just tapping that a little bit on my forehead too, just to add some more color to my face. And now I'm going to add some highlight, and I'm going to use the Artist Couture Conceited highlight, which is my favorite highlight, and I'm applying that to my cheeks, my nose, and my Cupid's bow. On top of that, I also put the Makeup by Mario reflector highlighter in the shade Citrine. It's like this gold sparkly pigmented highlighter, and it adds like the perfect subtle touch of glow. Like, when the light hits you, it's just gonna sparkle so pretty. And now I'm putting a little bit of eyeshadow, the same one that we used on our lid, underneath my eye, and it's a black gel lighter. And I'm also gonna add a little bit of the gold highlighter in my inner eye corner. So now we're gonna move on to the lips. So I was dying to show you guys this lip combo because I started doing it recently and it just makes my lips look so nice. So I'm outlining my lips, but I'm using a cream contour to outline my lips instead of using lip liner because I feel like it adds this like pretty shadow to your lips, and it makes it look more plump. So the cream contour I'm using is from the Melt Cosmetics Contour Stack, and it's in the shade Deep, I think, Deep Dark, and it's like the darkest one in there. And I'm just using an e.l.f. angled brush to outline my lips, and I'm overlining them, but just slightly, like right outside my lip. I don't want my lips to be big, I just want it to have a nice shadow. So that's what I'm doing here. And now I'm adding some nude lip gloss, and this is the NYX Lingerie gloss, and it's in the shade Shy. And these glosses are so thick and creamy and beautiful. And after I did that, I put some nude eyeshadow in the center of my lips that I will show you guys right now. Okay, so I'm using a nude eyeshadow on a lipstick applicator, and it's from the Morphe 39A palette. I'm going to show you guys the color that I used in a second, but I'm just tapping that on the center of my lip, really where I put the nude lip gloss. And yo, I'm telling you right now, eyeshadow lasts way longer than lip liner, than a liquid lipstick. Like, it doesn't go anywhere. Even if you eat something or drink something, like, it'll fade off slowly, but it'll take so long to come off, and it just adds a really nice pigmentation to whatever lip combo you have going on. So I definitely recommend you guys give that a try. And then I put some I put some clear gloss on top of that, and all the products I use are down in the description box below. So now I'm setting the face. So the way I set my face, I like to spray setting spray into a beauty sponge with like a flat surface. This is the Real Techniques beauty sponge, and then I like to pounce that all over my face because I just feel like it sets all the layers that we put on. And if my face looks powdery or anything, it'll take away from that completely. And then I set my face with a dewy setting spray. Like, I sprayed it just a little bit to give my skin a more skin-like finish, and now I'm just fanning my face. And this is how my face turned out. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I loved how this look came out. It just looks so bomb. The hair and the makeup go beautifully together. And once again, if you want some more details on this hair from CURLYMEHAIR, please check the description box below. I believe there's a discount code as well that you guys can use to get some money off. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Let me know what other videos you guys want to see from me. Make sure to follow me on my social medias. They will be down in the description box below. Once again, thank you CURLYMEHAIR for sponsoring today's video. And I'll talk to you guys in next week's video. Peace.